Guys, it's Mark Zickery, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zickery of Space Command, and we are moving forward on Space Command. A lot is happening. I'm going to MIPCOM in France next week to meet with a lot of studio and network executives, and then coming back from meetings with many people, Disney, etc. And Gail Ann Hurd. I'm going to be meeting with Gail Ann Hurd. I can't wait. She produced some of my favorite movies, Aliens and The Abyss, which is great until the ending, and she's of course executive producer of The Walking Dead. Additionally, I am now wearing the most ugly, wonderful shirt in the world. It is a Hawaiian shirt of the Star Wars Cantina scene. Look at this, isn't that great? What an amazing shirt! What a great shirt! So, but that is not what we're here to talk about. Today, we're going to be talking about Westworld, the new series from J.J. Abrams that debuted on HBO. You can actually watch the first episode online for free, which is cool. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of the history. I thought the first episode that I saw was great. Wonderful cast. Ed Harris, we mentioned The Abyss. He's been a wonderful actor forever, and he's very good in this as the Man in Black. In the original Westworld, the film that Michael Crichton did way back when, the Man in Black was a robot played by Yul Brynner. In this, he's a human, but much more villainous. And Evan Rachel Wood is quite wonderful as a female robot in the fake Old West, and James Marsden is in it as her suitor. He's very good too. The entire cast is great. Thandie Newton, who's not really very fully utilized in the first episode, but I'm sure she'll be doing a lot more, and Anthony Hopkins as the head of Westworld, the inventor and the god of Westworld. So let me talk a little bit about that, and it's where it started and how it started and all of that. Jonathan Nolan, who's the brother of Christopher Nolan and his co-conspirator on a lot of the movies they do together, including Interstellar and the Batman movies, is the director and co-writer here, along with his wife Lisa Joy, and it's beautifully shot. It's on a grand scale. It's quite impressive. It's a very impressive show, and it sets up very interesting mysteries. The cast, both the famous actors and the lesser known actors, are all uniformly strong, and I think it's going to be a very, very good show. We'll see if it sustains. One of the problems with a lot of the TV shows that set up mysteries is that as they continue and as they reveal the mystery, they become less interesting, or they become so involved in the twists and turns of the mystery that they abandon character continuity. They abandon the heart of the show, the emotional heart of it, for trickery. So we'll see if Westworld sustains, if it delivers. I think it's a good start. I think it has hope of being a very, very good show. In terms of the background, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because some of you may not know the history of Michael Crichton, who created Westworld. Michael Crichton started out in his life studying to be a doctor, but then turned to writing instead, and created many of the most distinctive and successful books and movies and TV shows of the later part of the 20th century. He created ER, and Westworld was his foray into writing and directing. And in that, it was done in the 70s, and it starred Richard Benjamin and James Brolin as two humans who go to an amusement park where robots populate a western town, and you essentially can do whatever the hell you want. There were two other worlds, medieval world and Roman world, and we'll see if this TV show of Westworld goes to those places as well. I don't think it really needs to, but we'll see. And but the interesting thing in the first Westworld was that, because I watched it the other night, and Yul Brynner is terrific as a robot gunslinger. He's essentially playing a robot version of the character he played in the Magnificent Seven. And although he was, I think, Hungarian, he rose to fame in The King and I on stage and then in film. He's a spectacular-looking man. He's terrific in The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, and he's great in the Magnificent Seven. And it's fun because, being from Eastern Europe, you wouldn't think he would make a terrific cowboy, but he does. He's phenomenal, and so playing the robot version of that character, he's equally great, and he's playing it as a robot, so he's very controlled in his movements and in his expressions and in what he says. And the basic gag of Westworld, the original film, was that the robots essentially turn on their masters and start killing them. And the fun thing, or the interesting thing to watch in that film, is that it takes forever to get to that turning point. I mean, there's bar fights and all sorts of Wild West tomfoolery, and then finally, after seemingly forever, Yul Brynner turns and starts killing people, but it's handled in a very perfunctory way, And it's like Michael Crichton didn't understand where to put the emphasis on his story, where, we really don't want to see forever how much fun Westworld is. We get it. What we want to see is a very lethal robot pursuing someone and being very effective and very difficult to kill. And yet it's kind of handled relatively quickly, whereas a few years later, James Cameron would see the greater possibility, because the idea of a robot that you can't stop coming after you and after you and after you, James Cameron saw the potential of that and how that could be an entire film, and of course did The Terminator, which was a great film, and is a greater film than Westworld, partially because James Cameron is in many ways a better director and perhaps even a better writer than Michael Crichton. But Michael Crichton rose to fame with the Andromeda Strain, a novel that was made into a very good film. And one of the most interesting things about Westworld is years later, he got the notion of, well, why don't I take the plot of Westworld, an amusement park where the amusements turn on the humans and start killing them, and he turned that into Jurassic Park. He swapped out the robots for dinosaurs, and Jurassic Park, of course, was a huge success, and still is a huge success with its sequels, including Jurassic World. But it's kind of fun that he had the nerve to take a plot, a structure, and just redo it again to even greater success. And but now we're back with the TV show Westworld, and I think the TV show Westworld is much better than the original film. The original film is a lot of fun. It's worth watching. It's dated. It's funny. It's dated in ways that the Terminator and some of the other science fiction films that came just a few years later. I recently watched John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a terrific film, one of my favorites, and they're about to release a deluxe version of it with lots of new extras, and I can't wait to see that. But the new Westworld is much more modern, and of course it's riffing on modern westerns like Deadwood and so forth, and there is of course a new version of the Magnificent Seven that's out, that's entertaining, but not a patch on the original Magnificent Seven, which is The Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa, which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend. It's one of the greatest films ever made. But back to Westworld. So I think that's one of the fun things about the new Westworld. One of the notions that's fun is they turn it on its head, and essentially their question is, what are the robots thinking and feeling? And the robots are extremely ill-used by the humans, and so it's about really how they turn on the humans, and we're seeing it from their viewpoint. Evan Rachel Wood is very, very good in the lead, so definitely the first hour makes you want to see more, and makes you want to see where it's heading. And there's an actor who plays her father who's just terrific. And so again, it's really worth watching. And it's fascinating, this whole new way of doing things where they put pilots on the air, where on computers where you can watch them for free, and then you have to pay for them, if you want to continue, the HBO model, of course. And I also saw Falling Waters, which is Gail Ann Hurd's new show, which is about people being able to go into each other's dreams. It wasn't as strong as Westworld. It's intriguing. Some of the cast is very good, but so far Westworld is the one that I'm putting my money on. So that's really it for now. I think it's fascinating that science fiction has become such a dominant form. Again, when I was a kid, it's the previous era of science fiction. It was sort of B movies and goofy TV series, and it didn't have the prominence it has now, because now the movies and TV shows that really rake in the bucks are science fiction generally, or fantasy, and of course horror has always done very well. But I'm glad that J.J. Abrams has taken on Westworld. I'm glad that Jonathan Nolan and his wife are doing it so very well, and I look forward to the next thrilling episode. And I hope you look forward to the next thrilling episode of Mr. Sci-Fi. We'll have lots to talk about soon. And until then, it's Mark Zickrey. You can definitely subscribe to the Mr. Sci-Fi YouTube channel. You can go onto Facebook and friend me and all of that stuff. And check out Space Command at your leisure, because we are moving forward and it's all very, very, very exciting. So that's it for now. Talk soon. Bye-bye.